Like and subscribe for more content.
The transition from the realm of constitutional rights to the world of employment law might seem abrupt, but the underlying principle remains the same: the protection of individual rights. Just as the Fourth Amendment safeguards against unreasonable government intrusion, employment law seeks to balance the interests of employers and employees, ensuring a fair and equitable working relationship. This balance is largely defined and negotiated through the employment contract. Understanding the intricacies of these contracts is crucial for both employers and employees, as they lay the foundation for the employment relationship. An employment contract, whether explicitly written or implied through actions and conduct, dictates the terms and conditions of employment. While many employment relationships are governed by implied contracts based on the actions and expectations of both parties, it is almost always in an employee's best interest to have a clearly written contract. A written contract provides unambiguous documentation of the agreed-upon terms, minimizing the potential for future disputes and misunderstandings. This clarity is especially important when dealing with critical aspects such as compensation, benefits, responsibilities, and termination procedures. Offer letters, often the initial written communication in the employment process, serve as the precursor to a formal contract. These letters, while not always legally binding in their entirety, typically outline key terms of employment, such as the position offered, salary, start date, and reporting structure. Careful review of an offer letter is crucial before acceptance. Any ambiguities or discrepancies should be clarified with the employer before signing or otherwise indicating acceptance. Negotiating terms of an offer letter is perfectly acceptable and, in many cases, expected, particularly for experienced professionals or those in high-demand fields. This process allows for adjustments that better align with the employee's expectations and needs. Once an offer is accepted and the employment commences, the employment relationship becomes governed by the terms of the contract, whether written or implied. Several key clauses commonly appear in employment contracts, including the definition of the employee's role and responsibilities, compensation details, benefits packages, such as health insurance, retirement plans, and paid time off, confidentiality clauses, and provisions relating to termination of employment. Compensation details frequently include base salary, bonuses, commissions, and any other forms of compensation. These terms must be clear and unambiguous to avoid future disputes. For instance, specifying whether bonuses are guaranteed or performance-based, or outlining the specific criteria for earning commissions prevents potential misunderstandings and disagreements down the line. Benefits packages are another critical aspect of employment contracts. The details of health insurance coverage, including the extent of coverage, employee contributions, and the terms of participation, should be clearly outlined. Similarly, retirement plan details, including employer matching contributions, vesting schedules, and eligibility requirements, must be explicitly defined. Paid time off policies, outlining vacation days, sick leave, and personal days, should also be included. Ignoring the specifics of these benefits could lead to unexpected costs or limitations for the employee. Confidentiality clauses are commonly included in employment contracts, particularly in roles requiring access to sensitive information or proprietary business data. These clauses typically obligate the employee to protect the employer's confidential information and trade secrets. The scope of confidentiality and the duration of these obligations are important considerations. A clearly drafted confidentiality clause prevents potential legal disputes and safeguards the employer's intellectual property. Conversely, an employee should also understand the limits of these provisions to avoid unintentionally violating them. Termination clauses are another crucial element of employment contracts. These clauses typically outline the conditions under which the employment relationship can be terminated by either the employer or the employee. The most common termination scenarios are termination for cause, such as serious misconduct or violation of company policy, and termination without cause, which typically involves a notice period or severance pay. Understanding the specific circumstances and procedures outlined in the termination clause is vital for both employers and employees. These clauses can provide protection against arbitrary dismissals or unfair treatment. For instance, specific clauses regarding wrongful termination or the employee's rights regarding severance pay protect employees. Wage and hour laws are an integral aspect of employment law and play a significant role in defining the terms of employment contracts. These laws dictate minimum wage requirements, overtime pay, and record-keeping obligations for employers. The Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, is a key federal law governing wage and hour issues, and many states also have their own laws which may provide even greater protection to employees. Compliance with these laws is crucial for employers to avoid penalties and legal repercussions. Failure to comply can result in significant fines and legal action, potentially impacting an employer's reputation and profitability. For employees, understanding these laws protects them from exploitation and ensures they receive the compensation they are legally entitled to. Beyond the specifics of the written contract, employees have certain rights protected by law, regardless of the terms of their employment contract. These rights are often rooted in state and federal anti-discrimination laws, worker safety regulations, and whistleblower protections. Employment contracts cannot override these fundamental legal protections. For instance, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act, ADEA, protects workers 40 years of age or older. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities. These laws provide strong protections against discrimination and harassment in the workplace, regardless of the content of an employment agreement. Real-life examples illustrate the importance of understanding employment contracts. Consider a case where an employee is terminated without cause but does not receive the severance pay promised in their contract. A clear contract, properly executed, allows the employee to pursue legal action to enforce their contractual rights. Similarly, disputes over bonuses or commission structures often arise from unclear or ambiguous contractual language. A well-drafted contract with clearly defined performance metrics or bonus eligibility criteria avoids such conflicts. Conversely, an employer might attempt to enforce overly broad confidentiality agreements or impose unreasonable restrictions on employees' post-employment activities, which could be challenged on the grounds of invalidity or unreasonable restraint of trade. These situations underline the significance of skilled legal advice during the contract negotiation phase. Understanding the various legal principles and the common elements of employment contracts provides employees and employers with the tools they need to navigate the employment landscape successfully. From initial offer letters to the details of termination clauses, every aspect of the employment relationship must be approached with vigilance and attention to detail. Properly drafted contracts, coupled with an understanding of applicable federal and state laws, minimize the risk of disputes and help ensure a productive and equitable working relationship. The key is proactive planning and a thorough understanding of both the contract's explicit terms and the implicit rights and protections afforded by law. In a dynamic legal landscape, continuous learning and adaptation remain vital to ensuring that both parties' interests are appropriately protected. Seeking legal counsel when necessary is crucial, particularly in complex situations or when significant discrepancies arise. The investment in legal guidance often yields substantial returns in minimizing risks and safeguarding individual rights within the framework of employment law. The foundation of a fair and equitable workplace rests not only on the explicit terms of employment contracts, but also on the robust framework of anti-discrimination and anti-harassment laws. These laws, designed to protect employees from unlawful treatment, significantly impact the employment relationship and are crucial for both employers and employees to understand. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 stands as a cornerstone of this legal framework, prohibiting employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. This landmark legislation has shaped the landscape of workplace equality, setting a precedent for subsequent anti-discrimination laws and judicial interpretations. Title VII's impact extends beyond its explicit prohibitions. The Act's broad scope encompasses a wide range of employment practices, including hiring, firing, promotion, compensation, and other terms, conditions, and privileges of employment. This comprehensive approach ensures that discrimination is not limited to overt acts of bias, but also encompasses more subtle forms of disparate treatment. For example, an employer who consistently promotes white employees over equally or more qualified minority candidates without a legitimate, non-discriminatory reason could be found liable under Title VII, even if the employer denies any intentional discrimination. The courts have established a framework for evaluating such claims, examining both the employer's intent and the overall impact of their employment practices. This necessitates a thorough understanding of both direct and indirect discrimination. Direct discrimination, also known as disparate treatment, involves intentional discrimination against an individual based on one of the protected characteristics listed in Title VII. This is the most straightforward form of discrimination, where an employer explicitly makes employment decisions based on race, religion, sex, national origin, or color. For instance, refusing to hire a qualified candidate solely because of their religious beliefs constitutes direct discrimination. Similarly, paying female employees less than male employees for performing the same job with equal qualifications and experience is clear evidence of direct discrimination. Establishing direct discrimination requires demonstrating the employer's discriminatory intent, which can be challenging but is achievable through evidence such as discriminatory remarks, emails, or unequal treatment documented by the employee. Indirect discrimination, also known as disparate impact, occurs when an employer's seemingly neutral employment policy or practice disproportionately affects members of a protected group. This does not necessarily involve intentional discrimination, but results in unequal outcomes. For example, requiring all employees to work on Saturdays while not explicitly targeting a particular religious group might disproportionately affect employees who observe the Sabbath. If the employer fails to provide reasonable accommodations, they could face liability for disparate impact discrimination. The key difference between direct and indirect discrimination lies in the intent. Direct discrimination involves intentional bias, while indirect discrimination focuses on the discriminatory effect of a policy, regardless of intent. Beyond Title VII, other federal laws provide crucial protections against various forms of workplace discrimination. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act, ADEA, protects individuals 40 years of age or older from discrimination based on age. This act safeguards older workers from being passed over for promotions, layoffs, or other employment actions based on their age. Similarly, the Americans with Disabilities Act prohibits discrimination against qualified individuals with disabilities. The ADA mandates reasonable accommodations for disabled employees, ensuring they have equal access to employment opportunities. These laws, alongside Title VII, offer a comprehensive legal framework against various forms of discrimination, with a growing number of state and local laws further extending these protections. Harassment, a pervasive problem in many workplaces, is another significant area of concern. Workplace harassment, whether sexual or based on other protected characteristics, is prohibited under Title VII and other anti-discrimination laws. Sexual harassment encompasses unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that creates a hostile work environment. This includes quid pro quo harassment, where employment decisions are conditioned on sexual favors, and hostile work environment harassment, where unwelcome sexual conduct creates an intimidating, offensive, or hostile work environment. Establishing a hostile work environment requires demonstrating that the harassment was severe or pervasive enough to alter the conditions of the victim's employment. This assessment considers the frequency, severity, and pervasiveness of the harassing conduct. A single incident might not suffice, but a pattern of less severe incidents can cumulatively create a hostile work environment. Harassment based on other protected characteristics, such as race, religion, national origin, or disability, is also prohibited under relevant federal and state laws. This type of harassment involves unwelcome conduct based on these characteristics that creates a hostile work environment. The legal standards for proving harassment based on these characteristics are generally similar to those for sexual harassment. For instance, consistent racial slurs or derogatory comments directed at an employee could create a hostile work environment, violating Title VII's prohibitions. Similarly, religious harassment involving derogatory remarks about an employee's faith or pressure to conform to a different religion is also illegal. The legal consequences of workplace discrimination and harassment can be severe for employers. Successful claims can result in substantial monetary damages, including back pay, compensatory damages for emotional distress, and punitive damages to punish the employer. Furthermore, employers might face significant legal fees and reputational harm. For employees, the consequences can be equally devastating, leading to emotional distress, loss of income, and career disruption. Preventing workplace discrimination and harassment, therefore, requires a proactive and comprehensive approach. Employers must establish clear anti-discrimination and anti-harassment policies, providing employees with avenues for reporting incidents and ensuring prompt and thorough investigations. Training programs for all employees, including managers and supervisors, are crucial in educating everyone about the law, promoting awareness of discriminatory and harassing conduct, and emphasizing the importance of creating a respectful workplace. Moreover, effective policies should address the different forms of discrimination and harassment, specifying the company's zero-tolerance stance and outlining the consequences of violations. These policies need to be readily accessible and actively disseminated within the organization. Employers should also implement robust complaint procedures, ensuring confidentiality and impartiality in the investigation process. Employees, on the other hand, should familiarize themselves with their rights under relevant anti-discrimination and anti-harassment laws. They should document any instances of discrimination or harassment, including dates, times, locations, witnesses, and specific details of the incident. Preserving evidence is critical in any potential legal action. If harassment occurs, employees should promptly report it through their employer's internal complaint mechanisms. If internal processes fail to address the issue adequately, legal counsel should be sought to explore other options for redress. Navigating the complexities of workplace discrimination and harassment requires both employers and employees to be knowledgeable about their legal rights and responsibilities. Proactive prevention, clear policies, prompt investigations, and the pursuit of legal recourse when necessary are essential elements in maintaining a fair and equitable workplace. The legal landscape is constantly evolving, and keeping abreast of the latest developments in court rulings is vital for both employers and employees to ensure their rights are protected. Regular updates on legal changes and best practices are essential to create a truly inclusive and respectful work environment. Ultimately, fostering a culture of respect and understanding is the most effective method to prevent workplace discrimination and harassment. Unemployment benefits serve as a crucial safety net for workers who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own. This system, administered at the state level but guided by federal guidelines, aims to provide temporary financial assistance while individuals seek new employment. However, navigating the application process and understanding eligibility requirements can be complex and often frustrating for those already facing the stress of job loss. The initial step involves filing a claim with the appropriate state unemployment insurance agency. Each state maintains its own agency and its own unique online portal or application process. While the general principles are consistent across states, specific requirements and benefit amounts vary significantly. For example, the weekly benefit amount, the maximum duration of benefits, and the eligibility criteria for receiving benefits can differ dramatically from state to state. Some states may require a waiting week before benefits commence, while others may not. Furthermore, the types of job separation that qualify for benefits differ slightly in definition. Eligibility is typically determined by several factors. First, the claimant must have a sufficient history of employment within the state. This often involves having earned a specific minimum amount of wages within a qualifying base period, usually the first 4 of the past 5 quarters. The exact amount varies by state, but it reflects a threshold designed to ensure that only those who have demonstrated a commitment to the workforce are eligible for benefits. Second, the claimant must have lost their job through no fault of their own. This is often the most complex aspect of eligibility, as it requires a careful examination of the circumstances surrounding the job loss. Examples of qualifying reasons for job loss include layoffs due to economic downturns, company restructuring, or a reduction in workforce. A termination for cause, such as gross misconduct or willful violation of company policy, typically disqualifies an individual from receiving benefits. The determination of fault often involves a nuanced interpretation of the specific facts and circumstances of the job loss. For example, a dispute with a supervisor leading to termination might be considered a fault of the employee if insubordination or other serious misconduct is involved. However, if a supervisor harasses an employee to the point where the employee must leave, then the unemployment agency would likely find the separation was not the fault of the employee. These nuanced scenarios underscore the importance of thoroughly documenting the reasons for job loss. The application process often requires providing detailed information about the previous employment, including the employer's name and contact information, dates of employment, and reason for separation. Claimants are typically required to actively search for new employment and report their job search activities to the unemployment agency. This active job search requirement is critical to demonstrating the claimant's commitment to regaining employment. Failure to comply with this requirement can result in a reduction or termination of benefits. Additionally, claimants are typically required to be available for work, meaning they must be willing and able to accept suitable employment opportunities. Suitable is defined in context, considering the applicant's skills, experience, and physical capabilities, and often varies by state law and the applicant's specific situation. The process involves verification with the previous employer. The unemployment agency will typically contact the employer to verify the information provided by the claimant and to gather their perspective on the circumstances surrounding the job separation. Employers often have the opportunity to contest the claim, providing their own version of events and challenging the claimant's eligibility. This verification process can lead to delays in processing the claim, particularly if there are disputes between the claimant and the employer. In such cases, the unemployment agency will typically review the evidence from both parties and make a determination based on the preponderance of the evidence. Appealing a denial of benefits is a crucial aspect of the process. If a claimant's application is denied, they generally have the right to appeal the decision. The appeals process typically involves a hearing before an administrative law judge, where the claimant has the opportunity to present evidence and testimony to support their claim. This appeals process provides an important safeguard against erroneous decisions, ensuring that claimants have the opportunity to challenge adverse determinations. It's vital to carefully document all communication with the unemployment agency and retain any relevant evidence, such as termination letters, performance reviews, and emails, which can be helpful if an appeal becomes necessary. Seeking legal counsel during an appeal can significantly enhance the chances of a favorable outcome. Independent contractors and gig workers often face unique challenges in accessing unemployment benefits. Traditional unemployment insurance systems are often structured around the employer-employee relationship, making it difficult for those working in the gig economy to qualify. The legal landscape surrounding unemployment benefits for independent contractors is evolving, with many states grappling with how to adapt their systems to accommodate this growing segment of the workforce. Some states have implemented specific programs to provide unemployment benefits to gig workers, while others continue to exclude them. The eligibility criteria for independent contractors often differ significantly from those for traditional employees, requiring careful consideration of the nature of the work arrangement and the level of control exercised by the client. Navigating the unemployment benefits system can be a daunting task, but understanding the eligibility criteria and the application process is essential for securing financial assistance during a period of joblessness. Proactive steps such as maintaining detailed records of employment history and documenting the reasons for job separation can significantly increase the chances of a successful application. Moreover, promptly addressing any communication from the unemployment agency and pursuing appeals when necessary are crucial to ensuring that individuals receive the benefits to which they are entitled. The assistance of legal professionals specializing in employment law can be invaluable in navigating the complexities of the system and protecting one's rights. Remembering that each state's system is somewhat different underscores the importance of checking the specific regulations for your state of residence. The rules and regulations concerning unemployment benefits are subject to change, so staying informed about the latest updates is crucial for both employers and employees. The transition from unemployment benefits to workplace safety and workers' compensation marks a shift from the safety net provided after job loss to the protections afforded during employment. While unemployment benefits address the financial fallout of joblessness, workers' compensation focuses on safeguarding employees' well-being and financial security when injuries or illnesses occur on the job. This system, governed by state laws but guided by underlying federal principles, is a cornerstone of employment law, aiming to balance the interests of employers and employees in maintaining a safe working environment and providing fair compensation for work-related injuries and illnesses. The Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, OSH Act, serves as the bedrock of federal workplace safety regulations. This landmark legislation established the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, tasked with setting and enforcing safety and health standards across most private sector workplaces. OSHA's broad mandate encompasses a wide range of industries and professions, aiming to protect workers from hazards that could lead to injuries, illnesses, or fatalities. The Act places a general duty on employers to furnish their employees with a workplace free from recognized hazards that could cause death or serious physical harm. This general duty clause is broad and encompassing, reflecting the legislature's intention to comprehensively safeguard worker well-being. OSHA achieves this through specific standards addressing various hazards, including those related to chemicals, machinery, electricity, and fire prevention. These standards are regularly updated to reflect advancements in safety technology and knowledge, and they are enforced through inspections, investigations, and citations for noncompliance. The penalties for noncompliance can be significant, ranging from fines to criminal prosecution in cases of egregious violations leading to worker deaths. Beyond the federal OSH Act, states also play a crucial role in regulating workplace safety. Many states have their own occupational safety and health agencies that complement and, in some cases, extend the federal standards. These state-level agencies may address specific issues relevant to their local industries or workforce composition. The interplay between federal and state regulations can be complex, with some states adopting stricter standards than those set by OSHA. This dual regulatory framework reinforces the importance of employers staying informed about both federal and state regulations applicable to their operations. Ignoring these rules can lead to substantial fines, potential legal action from workers, and reputational damage to a company. Workers' compensation insurance programs are designed to provide medical benefits and wage replacement for employees injured or made ill on the job. The system generally operates under a no-fault principle, meaning employees can receive benefits regardless of whether they or their employers were at fault for the injury. This is a critical distinction, eliminating the need for lengthy and expensive lawsuits to determine liability. Instead, the focus is on providing timely and appropriate medical care and financial support to injured workers. The specific benefits available under workers' compensation vary by state, but they generally include medical care, temporary disability benefits, and potentially permanent disability benefits, depending on the severity and nature of the injury or illness. Death benefits are also often included for the survivors of workers who die as a result of a work-related incident. Filing a workers' compensation claim typically involves reporting the injury or illness to the employer promptly and seeking medical attention from a physician or healthcare provider approved by the workers' compensation insurance carrier. The employer is then responsible for filing a report with the state workers' compensation agency. The claim process requires detailed documentation of the injury or illness, including the date, time, location, and circumstances of the incident. Medical records, witness statements, and photographs are all important forms of documentation. These are used to establish the connection between the injury or illness and the worker's employment. The insurance carrier will then review the claim and determine the eligibility for benefits. The process might involve a medical examination by a physician of their choosing and ultimately a determination of whether the injury or illness is compensable under the state's workers' compensation laws. Disputes can arise between employees and insurance carriers regarding the extent of the injury or illness or the appropriate level of benefits. If the claim is denied or the benefits are deemed insufficient, the worker has the right to appeal the decision within the established time frame laid out by the state's workers' compensation system. The appeals process often involves administrative hearings or judicial review, depending on the state's legal framework. Representation by an attorney experienced in workers' compensation law can be crucial in navigating the complexities of the appeals process and advocating for the employee's rights. Consider the case of a construction worker who falls from a scaffold, sustaining a severe back injury. The worker immediately reports the incident to their supervisor and seeks medical treatment. The employer files the necessary paperwork with the state's workers' compensation agency. The insurance carrier reviews the claim, considering the medical reports and the worker's account of the incident. They approve the claim and authorize the necessary medical care and temporary disability benefits. However, after a few months, the worker's condition does not improve, and they require further treatment and possibly permanent disability benefits. A dispute arises between the worker and the insurance carrier regarding the extent of their disability and the level of ongoing benefits. The worker, with the assistance of legal counsel, may need to appeal the decision through the state's workers' compensation appeals process to secure the appropriate compensation for their long-term needs. Another scenario could involve a nurse who contracts a contagious disease while treating a patient. This situation highlights the risks inherent in certain professions. Here, proving the connection between the illness and the employment might require careful documentation of the patient's condition, the nurse's exposure, and the subsequent development of the illness. The insurance carrier might challenge the causal link, leading to a complex claim process. Again, legal expertise becomes invaluable in documenting the case and ensuring the nurse receives the necessary compensation. The complexities inherent in workers' compensation cases, coupled with the often significant financial implications, highlight the importance of understanding the legal procedures and potential pitfalls. Workers should be aware of their rights and responsibilities under the law. Employers, too, need to ensure compliance with all applicable safety regulations and promptly report all workplace injuries and illnesses to minimize potential disputes and ensure a safe and compliant workplace. Proactive safety measures, comprehensive training programs, and a strong commitment to worker safety are critical in preventing workplace accidents and mitigating potential liability. The interaction of the OSH Act, state-specific safety regulations, and workers' compensation frameworks emphasizes the collaborative efforts necessary to protect employee well-being and uphold the principles of fair compensation in the context of workplace accidents and illnesses. Consistent and careful attention to these processes is vital for both employers and employees. The transition from workplace safety and workers' compensation to the realm of whistleblower protection represents a significant shift in focus. While the former addresses the physical and financial well-being of employees injured or ill on the job, whistleblower laws safeguard those who expose illegal or unethical activities within their organizations. These laws are crucial for maintaining ethical corporate conduct and protecting the public interest, though navigating them can be complex and challenging. The potential for retaliation against whistleblowers underscores the need for robust legal protection and a clear understanding of the rights and responsibilities involved. The core principle behind whistleblower protection laws is to encourage employees to report illegal or unethical conduct without fear of reprisal. This is achieved through a combination of federal and state statutes that prohibit employers from retaliating against employees who report wrongdoing. The most significant federal law in this area is the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, SO-X, initially enacted to address corporate accounting scandals. SOX provides comprehensive protection for whistleblowers within publicly traded companies who report violations of securities laws. This protection extends to reporting concerns internally to a supervisor or externally to regulatory agencies such as the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The scope of SOX protection is quite broad. It shields employees from retaliation not only for reporting violations directly, but also for providing information during an investigation into such violations. Retaliation is broadly defined and can include demotion, termination, denial of promotion, harassment, or any other adverse action taken against the employee because of their whistleblowing activities. Crucially, SOX does not require the reported violation to be ultimately proven. The protection applies if the employee reasonably believed the reported conduct constituted a violation. This protects employees from potential chilling effects that may prevent them from coming forward, even if their reports prove ultimately unfounded. Beyond SOX, other federal laws offer whistleblower protection in specific contexts. The False Claims Act, for example, protects individuals who report fraud against the government. Whistleblowers who successfully bring a case under the False Claims Act can receive a significant portion of the recovered funds, creating a powerful incentive to report such misconduct. Similarly, the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010, Dodd-Frank, provides protections for whistleblowers who report violations of federal securities laws to the SEC. Dodd-Frank offers even greater financial rewards to whistleblowers compared to the False Claims Act, incentivizing the reporting of financial fraud on a larger scale. At the state level, many jurisdictions have enacted whistleblower protection laws that go beyond federal statutes. These laws often offer broader protection than their federal counterparts and may cover a wider range of unethical or illegal activities, extending beyond securities fraud and government fraud to encompass workplace safety violations, environmental concerns, and other matters of public interest. It is crucial for employees to be aware of both federal and state whistleblower protection laws that may apply in their situation, as their rights may vary considerably depending on the location and nature of the employment. The process of initiating a whistleblower claim involves carefully documenting all relevant information, including dates, times, individuals involved, and specific details of the alleged wrongdoing. Preserving evidence is paramount, as is maintaining a record of any retaliatory actions taken by the employer. This documentation forms the basis of a complaint filed with the appropriate regulatory agency or court. While many claims are settled out of court, some whistleblowers may need to pursue legal action to secure justice and compensation for any damages suffered due to retaliation. The legal process can be lengthy and complex, requiring the assistance of experienced legal counsel knowledgeable in whistleblower protection laws. Successfully navigating a whistleblower claim often hinges on several factors, including the strength of the evidence, the credibility of the whistleblower, and the clarity of the alleged violation. It's also crucial that the whistleblower follows the established procedures for reporting violations, ensuring compliance with the reporting requirements outlined in the relevant laws. Deviation from those procedures can weaken a claim, so meticulous attention to detail is vital throughout the entire process. Considering specific examples illuminates the challenges and complexities. Imagine a pharmaceutical company employee discovers evidence of data falsification in clinical trials. This individual, aware of potential SOX protections, reports the misconduct internally, documenting all communication and responses. When the company retaliates by demoting them, they are in a position to file a claim under SOX. Their success depends on the strength of their evidence: emails, meeting notes, and witness testimonies. The absence of any such documentation would drastically weaken their claim. The same holds for a nurse who reports unsafe staffing levels at a hospital, leading to disciplinary action. Here, state whistleblower protection laws, in conjunction with potential hospital-specific policies, would come into play. Conversely, a situation where an employee voices general dissatisfaction without specific evidence of wrongdoing is less likely to be protected. Similarly, if an employee fails to follow proper internal reporting procedures before going to external agencies, their case may be compromised. The key distinction lies in the presence of concrete evidence of illegal or unethical conduct and the adherence to established reporting processes. Common pitfalls to avoid include failing to properly document the evidence, neglecting internal reporting procedures, and prematurely going public without legal counsel. Seeking legal counsel early in the process is essential. An attorney specializing in whistleblower protection can guide the whistleblower through the complex legal landscape, ensuring they protect their rights and maximize their chances of a successful outcome. These legal professionals can help to structure the complaint appropriately, gather and present evidence strategically, and navigate the often challenging legal and regulatory processes involved. Ultimately, whistleblower protection laws are critical for ensuring corporate accountability and protecting the public interest. While the process can be complex and demanding, the potential for achieving justice and protecting those who courageously expose wrongdoing is substantial. A thorough understanding of these laws and the effective use of legal representation can make all the difference in a whistleblower's pursuit of justice. The continued evolution and refinement of these laws reflect their vital role in ensuring ethical conduct within organizations and safeguarding individuals who choose to speak out against wrongdoing. The balance between protecting whistleblowers and preventing frivolous claims remains a challenge in the ongoing development of whistleblower protection legislation.
Like and subscribe to support the channel. Donations welcome.